So we watched a show called Sweetpea.
Sweetpea.
Sweetpea, come on out, Sweetpea. Daddy won't make you go fishing if you don't want to, Sweetpea.
Sweetpea, starring Ella Purnell from,
Yellow
Yellow
Jackets,
Jackets and
Fallout.
Fallout. Yeah, she's had quite a
She,
little career as of late, and she's
yes.
got them anime eyes. She could play Alita Battle Angel with no CGI.
Pretty
Um,
much.
so this is about a woman who just wants to be seen. Do you see me?
Yeah.
Do you see me?
Look at me.
So she is a very meek and like closed off person who is basically just bullied and ignored by all of everyone around her, even though she's like insanely gorgeous. So it's hard for me to buy. But that's, they always do this in movies or TV shows. And so she starts to make people notice her by killing people. This will definitely get you to look at someone when they stick a
Yes.
knife into your throat.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. This is more of like a character study, drama, thriller
Yeah.
for sure. I wouldn't classify this horror, but thriller for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely got like some Dexter vibes to it as
Sort
far
of.
as like
Sort
yeah,
of.
like I mean it's not Dexter. It's not that like length of anything, but I would
She's not
say
that calculated.
yeah, she's not that calculated.
She's more reactionary.
Yes, but
Yeah.
there's some vibes to it for sure.
Sure, I mean there's definitely similarities, and this is not by any stretch of the imagination the first type of show or movie like this, right? Like we've seen the girl who is quiet and no one suspects, and she snaps and starts killing people,
Hmm.
and it's like you know this typically happens in rape revenge
Mm.
movies. MFA, I Spit on Your Grave, the list goes on and on. But this one's more of just like the bullied girl wants to do the bullying.
Mm.
And I thought this was great.
Hmm.
This has not fully aired in the United States. I think the last episode is on November 15th. This will be on Starz here in the United States. We got lucky enough to get a hold of the copies from, I would assume, the UK somewhere, because this is British.
Yeah.
Uh, so we have seen all of them.
Yeah.
Our copies, though, were our audio syncs were off,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
even had to screen record the last one and keep resyncing the audio, and it kept going off. So it was like losing sync multiple times throughout the episode, and I had to resync them differently. And we had to watch like 2 full episodes of this show
Yeah.
with the audio being off by like a lot. Like someone would be like,
And then they'll talk.
and then 5 seconds later, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was pretty rough. But yeah, I think the show's great. I had a really great time watching it. I really love her performance in this. I think I had no idea she was British, which is really funny. Because the two shows that I've seen her in, she has an American accent.
Maybe she's not.
Right, she has an American accent in
I'll
Fallout, right?
I'll look it up as you talk.
I don't know, but anyway, whether or not it's a real accent or one that she's doing for the show, it sounds great.
Born in
And
London,
so there
UK.
you go. Yeah, it's just always funny to me when we come across UK, British actors or whatever, and they just do perfect American accents. It's kind of
I
crazy.
feel like our accent is so easy to do.
I don't know. Maybe it is, but I don't see it as the reverse of like Americans being able to do British accents super well.
We've talked about this so much. Like American accents are just basically like taking all of the flavor out of your like out of like the cadence, out of the way that you talk. It's just kind of like very bland and blah way of speaking. Like you put all the vowels back in, you don't elongate anything. Everything is just very monotone and flat.
I mean, part of that I think is because we hear American accents all the time, but to people who don't, there is definitely like a difference.
But if
But
we look at a word
yeah,
and we hear how we sound, like we sound it out or how we say it, and then we listen to how they say it, they add extra like vowels, drop vowels, take out letters. We just say words exactly how they're meant to be said, and I feel like that's easier to do.
I know how you
Anyway,
feel about this.
I
Yeah.
know.
Regardless, I really liked her performance in this, and there's definitely a setup for another season, which is exciting. So I hope we get more because I think that her character is really interesting, and I like the world that's set up.
Oh yeah.
I really liked everybody else too. I think there's some very memorable like side characters that she interacts with and everything, and all that's it's great. Like the like suspense and the thrilling aspect, I think, was done very successfully.
Yeah. I mean, Ella is definitely the person who carries this
Yeah.
show. Most of the screen time is focused on her and her character and your journey with her. So you're going to have to buy into her plight, right? Like, you have to be invested and want her to do what she's doing. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to enjoy this because for me, while it does somewhat paint her as a villain, it mostly shows her in a positive light. And I agreed with that. And that's
Mm.
something that the show definitely tries to tackle is, what is right and what is wrong when it comes to this. I mean, a lot of people have a straight across the board no murder policy, which is probably for the best.
Definitely the best policy to
Um,
have.
but in a fantasy world like this, it's so easy to root for someone who is just taking out dreadful people. The people that she's killing are just wastes of oxygen. They are plagues on this world, and it's
Mm.
like, I am totally fine now. That's a movie thing, right? Most people are not one dimensional. Some people are, but it's hard to suss out which ones are, that's why you can't be judge, jury, and executioner, because, people aren't cartoonishly
Yeah,
villainous
it's
like
not
that
as
most
black and white
often.
usually.
Most people have their flaws, and some, everybody seems to have at least a strength or two. Not everyone, though. But that's what I'm saying. You can't, because the vigilante idea, while, yeah, maybe they'll kill someone who maybe deserves it, but like, who's to make that call? You can't just let people go out and kill
No,
whoever they want,
that's
because
the yeah.
anybody could think, like, I don't like this person. They stole my
Yeah, you
parking
can
spot.
justify
What
it
an asshole.
however. Yes. Yeah, and that's definitely the like interesting part of the show, and that's why it reminds me also of Dexter a bit because it's like if Dexter was like going after bullies in a more like, less polished way, I suppose. Um
Yeah, Dexter almost always goes after
I mean,
somebody who's a shit.
he's an anti-hero, right? Like he's
Yeah.
going after like other villains, other criminals or whatever, other murderers and everything. And she's, not going after murderers or like criminals at all, but the show is very much about like the effects of bullying and how it can impact somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I think the setup for everything, like the breakdown of her character, like what kind of makes her snap and everything, like all of that is so like easily imaginable as like a situation that somebody could find themselves in, and with the wrong personality have it lead to like murder.
Yeah.
um but yeah, it definitely doesn't stay. I think that you, as much as you might be kind of like on her side for a lot of the show, there's definitely like the way she kind of starts to evolve, you do see that it's I think it's she's very much a villain basically.
Yeah.
Like she is not a good person
Yeah.
at the end of this season. And maybe she was never a good person really. Like, you know.
Yeah, she's a very broken person. I
Yeah.
think the best part of the show, and really what is the most entertaining part of it, is not only the catharsis, of course, but is her evolution
Hmm.
as a person. What the killing does to her and her life and how it changes her. Right? She is very much a, she goes through this like cocooning process after, and she comes out a totally different species basically. and to see her change and how it affects her life, both positively and negatively. And of course, there's a detective that's hot on their trail.
Yeah.
And that was a character that was interesting for sure. Very obsessive. Definitely thinks they have the right person and no one else wants to believe it, because Ella Purnell is like this tiny little
She's
thing.
so small, and
no one would ever suspect her in a million years for these kinds of vicious, violent crimes, right? Like typically, historically, women, when they kill people, 9 times out of 10 they're like poisoning them or whatever. You don't usually get a violent crime with like a weapon, an up close weapon, especially against a man. So no one suspects her in a million years, but this person absolutely does, and there's that cat and mouse kind of game going on there. And I just really loved watching the evolution of like her. That is the main selling point for the show for me, is to watch her performance from this really quiet girl who never sticks up for herself, and she's never getting a promotion, the way her boss treats her in the opening, and then where she gets to, where she is like, and
the
it's
confidence level that changes.
It's only 6 episodes. And so, but I mean, that's almost what, like 5 hours with so that's a long time, because in a movie it was an hour and a half,
right?
So I mean, I think it makes sense where it goes, and I think there's some surprises for sure. I think you think it's going to go one way, and then once it does change and kind of subvert expectations with something, you're still very much like, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen now.
There's still definitely an element of like not ambiguity, but definitely that unknown aspect, which I like. I'm glad that it kind of kept that vibe, because otherwise, I mean, it isn't predictable, basically. So, and I really like that. And up until the end, I feel like it's not predictable. So
it kind of reminded me a bit of You. I don't think you ever watched it.
I've only watched
you watched a season,
I think, like half of the first season. I never ended up getting further than that.
There's elements of it that are very similar to You, because of a little bit of the narration, because of some of the relationships, because we're following somebody who you shouldn't like, right? Like Joe is very unlikable, like with his actions, but he's so charismatically charming that you kind of root for him in a weird way, where you're like, when he's about to get caught, you're like nervous about him getting caught, when you're like, he should be caught.
Oh, sure.
Right. And that's the same thing
here.
With her. Like, she's unbelievably gorgeous. She's very charismatic. Like once she like gets confidence in herself, I mean, she's like, but even so amazing.
Even before that, I just think that you don't want her to be unhappy. Like, because she seems so sweet, and yes, her life is so shitty
up until that point,
and so much stuff just happens like all at once to her. Yeah.
Do I approve of what she's doing? No.
At the end of the day, she's definitely not a good person.
In a fictional setting, yes.
Oh yeah, like we were definitely fist bumping for some things for sure. Because it's hard not to, because you're just like,
because that's what we all want to do in those situations.
Right.
You just don't, because you shouldn't. And in these moments, you're just like, oh, thank God, finally,
somebody did it.
You get to act out on it in the moment. But you should be able to find an inner strength within and overcome the obstacles of bullying and all that shit by just being, confident in yourself with who you are and saying fuck everyone. You don't have to murder people to have self-discovery and to become a better person.
Bullies suck, though. Bullies are like
100%. So. And I couldn't help but think about bullies in my school and how I 100% guarantee you, like one of the bullies that I'm thinking of right now is still a garbage person who has been nothing but a stain on this world since he entered it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I mean, there's
guarantee
definitely
it.
people.
That person never changed. I guarantee you, if I looked them up right now, they're still a garbage person.
I hope you're wrong, but
I hope I'm wrong too.
yeah.
Are people capable of change? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there are certain types of people who do not possess the ability to reflect.
Mm.
They are complete narcissists who have no ability to look inward and to change themselves, because you could never convince them that they are wrong and that they are like on the same level as you, right? The superiority complex that
Yeah.
they have would make them incapable of ever evolving, because they already feel like they are the most involved.
Yeah.
Are evolved.
Right.
Right? They're
Yeah,
like top of
it's-
the food chain. I should get everything. Everyone else is beneath me.
Boo.
And to watch these types of
people are
people
lame.
get it from someone like this, who's kind of a stand-in for you, the way you felt when you were that age,
Yeah.
it's very validating. It's very cathartic, as I had said.
Yeah.
So
It's really satisfying.
And Ella is just super fun to watch.
She is.
And yeah.
Yeah, really entertaining. Very good. A lot better than Teacup.
Grotesquerie.
Yeah, I liked it better than Grotesquerie as well.
Next up is Hysteria.
Yes.
Which we just started. First like 5-10 minutes is very 80s.
Yeah.
I was really enjoying it, so we'll let you know when we finish that season. I'm currently watching Hellbound by myself on Netflix. Season 2 just dropped, so I'm gonna talk about those shows soon enough. They're only 6 episodes apiece, so we'll that shouldn't be too long. But for right now, this first 5 episodes are on Starz, and the final episode will be dropping next week for anyone in the States. But if you are abroad, not a woman, like abroad, like out of the country, then it's probably available all to you right now, since it all dropped on the same day.
Yep. So check it out.
Yeah, definitely let us know, and we'll see you in the comments.
Bye. Babe.
Plot twist, I've been British this whole time.